If you don't have any questions for me at this time, I will call our first witness. Thank you. Mr. Aaron Sibia. First things first, we need to be sworn in.
I do. Albert Aaron Cibia, Arencibia. And?
Mr. Aaron Sibia, could you please give the board the benefits of your licenses and experience, please?
Okay, yes, I'm a registered. So, as far as explaining the building, the breakdown of the building, I believe you all have our drawings.
As an exhibit.
Mr. Let me get this right, Aaron Sibia?
Yes.
Just for the record, give the last revision on the plan so that everybody knows that they're looking.
And 3 units are 3 bedrooms and 2 baths, for a total of 171 units. Configuration, which actually means one car is behind the other car. We typically do this in places where we're going to have 2-bedroom units, so we assign those tandem spaces to the same unit, so we don't have to worry about jockeying a car back and forth, waiting. We'll have like a community room, and they see it as a model unit. They see how the units are all laid out.
Albert, as far as management, you mentioned there's going to be on-site management?
Yes, there
of
is.
Property?
Yes, there will
And
be.
an on-site super
Yes,
property?
absolutely, yes. Number of units, we need somebody to be there all the time, so stuff is going to be taken care of. So the total gross area of the building is going to be 298,000. The east part of the building, another amenity area serving the west part of the building, so that there's not everybody into one space at one time. And the gross square footage of the retail space on the ground floor is 7,800. In the cellar, we have a total of 167 parking spaces. We have 142 single spaces, and we have 25 tandem spaces on this floor. Electrical vehicle charging stations, we're going to have 27 here, and we're going to have 30 bicycle parking on this floor here. Again, the floor plan basically shows you the layout and configuration of the parking. To access the parking down in the lower level, we're using a ramp coming off of Columbia Avenue. So we come down from Columbia Avenue and access the entire parking area from there, and then we come back out and we can go up Columbia lobby off of Columbia Avenue, which is going to serve as almost like a moving lobby area, so that people moving in and out of the building will be able to access an elevator there. They'll have a lobby on Columbia as well, so they'll be able to bring in all their furniture from that location and not really disturb the other 2 lobbies that we have for the east and the west wing of the building. Of course, the building will be completely going up to the ground floor level. Again, you see the access from Columbia Avenue to the parking. You come in from Columbia, you go straight down into the ramp that takes you down, or you drive around on that floor and you're able to access the rest of the parking area on this ground floor. On the first floor, we have 143 parking spaces. We have 100
ADA spaces.
Yes.
Can you clarify whether they meet the legal requirements for ADA spaces?
Yes, Gary had mentioned that there was an issue on one of the ADA spaces, and he was correct. We actually looked at it, and we were able to accommodate the parking space in another location. 8, based on the number of parking we have. So we do have 1 extra. However, we're going to have 9 in total, so we're going to have 1 over what we require anyway. Okay, as far as the ground floor is concerned, what we have is on Buffalo and Pennsylvania on the corner, we're going to have basically an entrance to one of the east wing area of the building, and off Pennsylvania on the other. From everybody else, they'll be able to have their own access to the commercial spaces here. With respect to the ground floor, we also show the entrance of the building. We also show the zone, so we're going to have that as well too. And we're proposing on half of that to be in also like a cold package area storage, because a lot of people order their food cold too. So there'll be a place where we have that. So we're trying to make a space here that's going to be very comfortable for all the tenants in the building itself. So that lobby and those amenities are going to be also included in the other building on both sides. With respect to the garbage in the building, we're going to propose having 2 trash chutes for the building itself. Again, one on the east wing, one on the west wing, and the trash is basically going to come down through the ground floor, where we're going to have a compact and wheels it out to Columbia Avenue. So basically, there'll be a person wheeling it out from the compactor room into the street, and that'll be the times of pickup.
And Albert, the pickup is going to be private,
Yes,
Okay.
yes,
so we will not be using city garbage.
that is correct. So we'll be able to make wing, we're basically going to wheel out the trash again. Same thing. The trash comes down the chute, goes into the compactor, goes to the container, and the container gets wheeled out on the front on Pennsylvania Avenue as well too. So we have a nice distribution of trash, so it's not like all concentrated in one place. You're not going to have a whole lot of containers in one location. You're going to have containers in one location and another location, so it minimizes a visual impact. However, most of the pickups are going to be done. Okay. The floor above the ground floor, this is basically going to be the typical floor layout for all of the units. It's meant to serve the residents of the area and also the, and it goes up to about 600 square feet, and then we have 1 bedroom from 650 square feet, goes up to about 8 units. They're big units. They have a lot of windows.
And there's nice courtyards too, correct?
Correct,
That provide
yes.
a lot of open space?
Absolutely, yeah. Again, basically, typically all the floors are pretty much the same configuration.
And how many floors is it?
To the, well, we have elevations of the building, and we have individual units. However, I believe that we should probably just concentrate on the rendering that we have back here. It'll give you,
Mr. Chairman, this was not previously submitted other than on the cover, but this is slightly different. So we're going to mark this as Exhibit A1.
okay. So you see here the corner of the building, this is where we're proposing having the retail spaces across this right here. You can determine we have a canopy hanging over. We're going to have some decorative columns in the front. We're going to landscape the entrance throughout the area to give it a nice soft look to the area. The lobby entrance is going to be fully glazed, so you'll be able to see very transparent from the street into the space. And again, of course, we're going to have these composite metal panels, these white panels that you see here. These are going to be more composite metal panels. These are going to be wood finish. We're thinking about using that with cement board, and we're going to create more of the same cement board panels across here. We're going to have white, we're going to have nice lighting, washing up the canopies of the building, creating a nice interesting hue at night. And we're basically going to keep it sort of like very open to the neighborhood. That's the idea.
Vacant governmental building that's there now, I think it will really revitalize the neighborhood, correct?
You saw the space that I was mentioned that was not ADA compliant?
Correct.
Okay. I'm going to make a suggestion that you hear what I just said?
Yes, I do. But I counted 9, but. it could
Okay,
be-
well, your plan and the engineer's plan shows 11, so,
Well, we have more surplus of ADA spaces, without a doubt.
no, I know. So I would say the one that's not compliant,
So-
convert. Well, and also on the basement, or cellar floor, you also are providing the compact spaces.
Compact spaces?
Yes.
We have 6 in total.
8. I think I counted 8.
Okay. Well, for the,
That's undersized to code into RSIS.
okay, thank you.
On the ground floor, we have the 4, good design, but I certainly don't like it, you know, especially in this day and age.
Okay.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you. sir.
Based on your comments, we can add a corridor behind the tenant spaces here and be able to access the trash room from within that corridor into the trash room itself, so they won't be wheeling any trash outside.
Okay,
You understand what I'm saying? It's basically, we'll create a proposal when they're gonna lease the space on the corner.
layout. Okay, now, I guess on the second floor, sorry. The courtyards, they're going to be accessed through the community room, I guess.
Corridor that access there too. On the left-hand side, we have another corridor that accesses that, so we have two ways in and out of that space.
Okay, and what is the proposal for that courtyard? Like, aside from benches, is there going to be like barbecue pits or fire pits or
The intention is not
dog
to do
runs
that.
or?
Just basically sitting area, some landscaped areas, there's something to soften the grounds of the building itself, but no activity.
All right, now on the upper floors, you have the two trash chutes, am I correct?
Yes.
All right, but the trash chutes, usually the trash room is, the chute is big enough where they store cardboard and then they use the trash chute for the refuse. This is only a lid for a trash chute, and
It's not really mandatory, but
of
we
course, it's
can,
not mandatory, but, you know, this is supposed to be a state-of-the-art building, you know, they're not gonna throw it out the window, we assume, so what are we doing?
you're right, and we can actually accommodate spaces to create a place where you could drop off all your recyclables.
These are all changes I would have liked to seen, you know, in advance, but,
I think, Albert, you can make these changes afterwards to Mr. Paparotti's satisfaction before, as a condition of approval, correct?
Absolutely. I mean, your comments are well taken, and, you know, we appreciate your feedback.
the, and some, maybe possibly some other awnings by entrances, those awnings are encroaching onto city property, and, because your building is online, and this board can't even grant that, so.
Correct. No. But if we need to ask for the mayor and council for approval for the overhangs, we'll be happy to go ahead and request those, that permit, so we'll be able to extend and be able to accommodate that. However,
They look like they're more than 1 foot, that's why, health. And the presentation was they were replacing the fire escape. And
incorporate in that, seeing a separate PTAC unit, so we'll look like what we have on the rendering here. I'm not happy with those separate PTAC units myself, and I know our clients were very happy, and they wanted to do something right, and so they went along with my recommendations to do it, an integral grill with the windows so that be nice and clean. We use it as for PTACs, or if we have a split, we're not going to need that grill there anymore, but we'll still have the grill there to kind of keep everything harmoniously throughout the building.
I have a question. And whatnot. Have any of you considered or took into consideration the overcrowding? It's going to be 1, 2, and 3 bedroom. So that means that you're going to have, I believe there's 2 schools in that area. And they're overcrowded as it is. So have any of you architects, site engineers, or whatever, took into consideration about the overcrowdedness of the school?
Well, that's a question I get a lot in a lot of the boards and things like that. And it's kind of hard to police that. Basically, you're going to be renting the units. What bathrooms might attract people with children. So yes, there is that possibility. The 2 bedrooms, 1 bath probably does not. It might, but not as much. Because what happens is a lot of people now are working from home. They need a room to basically be able to set up an office in their space. So a lot of those units that I've worked on myself during the years have been basically set up as a separate office for a lot of the people that work in the area. But as a possibility, it could happen. There will be children brought into the building. But generally speaking, these times for families as much as a single-family home, a 2-family, something like that. But it can happen, sir. I'm not going to say it can't.
Well, I don't know if I agree with that, but I just asked the question, have any of you ever considered?
Yeah, again, based on the fact that we've done many buildings like this before, we get asked that question, but these types of buildings, based on after we've finished a lot of projects, do not have many school-age children. They just don't.
And the design that you were asked to do is not particularly conducive to how.
Or the objectors?
Your mic's off.
I'm sorry. You're only allowed to ask the architect questions about what's going on. And do we have any objectors? Want to just come up to the mic, please? Give.
Do you want this?
Much for letting me ask the question. My question is,
Could you please state your address, please?
Yes,
it's 299 Pennsylvania Avenue, Paterson, 07503. My question is, looking at the picture, I haven't had a chance to look at, the plans and whatnot. Is there going to be a terrace on top?
No. Well, there's going to be a courtyard, but that's elevated 1 foot.
In places where I've seen high rises like this, people will have guests over. And, it is, out, in these terraces, having parties, so and whatnot. And like you said, it's not conducive to kids, but it will be conducive to adults and maybe teenagers and whatnot.
Representative of the applicant is going to testify as is the security systems that are going to be at the building, including cameras everywhere, as well as the on-staff management that will work to minimize those concerns. They're legitimate concerns, and of course, the applicant is taking them into consideration to alleviate them to the best that he can, to the best that they can.
3 feet from my house. When they get to take down the building and they start taking it down, if any damage is done to my house or to my grounds, my alleyway, taking it down, I have asthma, and I was told that when they take it down, there's going to be a lot of dust. Are they going to do something to help me, because it's going to really hurt me?
Well, ma'am, if the application is approved, certainly they're going to be responsible for, is responsible for. Now, as far as dust, there is some controls through the soil conservation, where they, during the demolition, they have to keep it watered to keep dust and dirt from the street, so they have to have a gravel access for in and out for when they start removing the building that is raised.
Start a project like this, we go and take pictures of all the neighbors' homes, footings, and foundations, to making sure that we catalog, make sure that we know exactly what condition their building is, so there's no issue. We usually try and get into the building, the basement, whatever, just to make sure that where things are, so in case there's any damages, we're able to go ahead and correct them. That's just the point of it.
And Albert, is going to be very, very high. And part of that is controlling the demolition so that it minimizes the effect on the neighbors,
Of course.
correct?
Again, we want to be good neighbors to everybody here when we do this building. We want to make sure that we create a nice product for everybody. And again, the way we designed this, so the commercial fronts to the commercial, there's separate lobbies, so there's basically ample room for people to move.
Paterson, and is very respectful of the community and the people that live here. So everyone, including myself as the attorney, was tasked with doing our best to make it clear that the applicant really has the concerns of the neighbors and the community at heart, and will do everything that they possibly can in order to minimize the negative effects during construction on the neighborhood.
Any other objector? Come to the,
CONE of 350 Knickerbocker Avenue. We hold a quality of life committee within the 6th Ward, which is, we have a lot of members that are in attendance every month. We are happy to see the old administration building finally come down because it has been an eyesore, and we've complained. This apartment complex is very, can't think of the word at the moment, aesthetic looking, very nice, but my opinion is this area, number one.
Mr. Chairman, I'm sorry, this is a time for questions of the architect. I think that the objectors will have time to state their opinion later on.
All right. Yeah, I'll continue this later on then. Just wanted to make.
Use that mic? Yes. Thank you. Leon Mondelli, Knickerbocker Ave, Paterson. Good evening, Commissioners. Just have a few questions. First, if you could explain to the audience what FAR is?
And the FAR is 1, so you can only build 100 square feet. So FAR is 2, you can build 200 square feet, 3, 300 square feet. That's basically how that works.
Okay, so what's the floor area ratio presently?
For the site, I'd have to take a look at it again.
Watch.
Here, you know what, I'll help you out. It's 1.4. And
When you helped me out before?
I didn't know you were, the project is 5.8, is that true?
Yes.
No, the application,
I'm sorry,
yeah, the application is 5.0.
5.0?
Yeah, the original, and I brought a copy for him, revised copy showing that if he needed it, but the floor area ratio is proposed at 5.0.
It's not on the plans, though. Is it on the plans?
No, the engineer has the wrong zoning chart.
Okay, because that's where I got that number from the, use the mic, please?
Yeah, whatever it is, yes.
Okay. And also, the lot coverage is now 20%, and then you're proposing 99% approximately?
Yeah, we have our site.
Okay, very good.
Trying to make it easier.
All right, so then real quickly, the
Yeah, so pedestrian ingress and egress are from both those lobbies. And we also have the other lobby in Columbia, basically where we're going to be able to use that lobby area there with its own elevator, as I indicated before, for when they're moving in.
residential access to the property is on Columbia. All access is on Columbia via car?
Columbia?
Yes.
The access on Columbia is only via car. We also have access for pedestrians on Columbia. We have access for pedestrians.
That part of the question is probably best suited to traffic or, if you want to take a stab.
Yeah,
you
it's
can.
Take a
basically,
stab at it.
it's basically the way we designed it. The location, Columbia, that's basically really an underutilized street. I don't know if you know that right now.
Yeah.
It's really
Yeah.
also provided the parking for the commercial spaces on that street, because we already have no curb cuts there, and it made simple sense to just basically have access from that street as well, as it's a less traveled street than Pennsylvania and Buffalo. So it made sense dynamically to when you.
Parking on Columbia for the retail?
Yes.
So how's that going to take away from the residents?
We'll have our traffic
Okay.
and engineer
All right.
testify to that.
Okay,
Because I'm not sure if that answer is correct.
okay.
This is going to be on the line, and according to the survey, you have 5 feet and roughly 3 inches. So
from that. So you have much more space there because they're going to be set back above all those residential units. So you'll have much space.
Will there be a privacy fence put up for me?
You can probably enclose your.
I think the applicant, this isn't so much a question for the architect, but I think the applicant would be willing to install a fence on your property, if you're willing to have it, to provide privacy. They can comment on that later.
I do. Adnan Khan, Adnan Khan. AN. Sure. I have a bachelor's degree in civil engineering and master's in construction management from NJIT. I've been doing it for over 30 years. Licensed professional engineer in 4 states. Certified municipal engineer in New Jersey. Testified in front of hundreds of boards.
With 305-319 Pennsylvania Avenue and have designed all of the infrastructure, where the building's going to go, and everything outside the footprint of the building. Is that correct?
Outside and inside of the footprint, yes.
Okay, well, it's probably best if you explain exactly what you've designed and how the.
I think Mr. Arancibia did a very good job. I'm going to touch the engineering comments. Being the size of this building, over an acre, and impervious coverage, this project, under the stormwater regulation, located under the basement floor or the lower level parking floor. It's a pipe system. It is designed for a 2-year, 10-year, and 100-year storm event. And as required by DEP, it's not what we have to just reduce the runoff from existing. 50% less than what it currently exists on the site, 25-year storm by 75%, and 100-year storm by 20%. And we are achieving, as I mentioned, is the detention system. As far as the requirements for DEP, it's not just the volume containment, but also the rate of discharge. The rate of discharge is something that you don't want to flow all the water right away into the municipal system. Regulate how much we can discharge in any given rainstorm event. In addition, we are also proposing all new utility services, gas, electric, water, sewer. And to answer your question, this project, it will be under the jurisdiction of PVSC, Pacific Valley Sewage Commission, and it has to meet their requirements for the discharges and the flows and whatever their design requirements are, and we are going to follow those requirements. We move from this board and goes towards the final engineering design. We also proposing some lighting improvements in the garage area or in the parking areas, both at the ground level. This is the plan set that was submitted as part of the original package, and I'm looking at sheet C-06. So these circles are ceiling-mounted LED fixtures. So they are enough intensity that can provide the safety as well as security for the parking or for the vehicles, as well as the very efficient overall. Then we are also proposing some landscaping improvements, new sidewalks, the new curb cut, so it will be a nice aesthetically improved features with the greenery all.
Chairman Paxton?
Yeah, thank you, Chairman.
I have a question on the...
Hold on, Commissioner.
Oh, I'm
Hold on until after I finish mine.
Okay, good.
Mr. Khan, was the property, well, if there is, then there is an issue, obviously. So.
Absolutely, it has to, like.
Okay.
Yeah.
Also, on your zoning, you would need to change or add your zoning chart to the use that's being requested. Now, Sir, do you know if there's any no parking on Columbia Avenue? Any signs, no parking? 325 parking spaces, and 20 for the retail. But if any of the 4 retail is BYOB, restaurants, cafes, bars,
The garages, but how about outside? As you know, this is a very deserted area around this time of the night. And I
100 gallons per hour right now, it will be reduced to almost half for a 2-year storm. So it will be less runoff coming from our property, contributing to existing issue that exist within the existing infrastructure. So I think we are doing twofold. We are storing the
Ask the question.
Commissioner Furman, I do have a question.
So stop me if aesthetically very nice, I like the setup of it. I think the number of apartments is way too many, and the number should come down for the area. And
License still in good standing from last week, so thank you.
So, Mr. Korak, you and
Turning movements on Columbia Avenue and located that driveway in the best location possible. With respect to that parking on Columbia Avenue, currently the entire stretch of the frontage serves, generally speaking, as one long curb cut. There's a number of garage areas, as well as just having been around the site. You see those county vehicles would typically park there, and generally speaking, it's not an area that's heavily used on the parking. What we're proposing is those 90-degree right-angle spaces, really formalizing parking along that stretch, providing more parking than typical parallel street parking could provide. Site for the retail component, and this design works very well, especially on a low-volume roadway like Columbia Avenue. Of compact spaces, about 2 to 3% of them are compacts, where we typically, when we're providing compacts, we're at an upper limit of 10 to 15% compact spaces. So 2 to 3% is well within accepted range. Is essentially 15 feet long by 6 feet wide, and that fits very well within that 8 by 16 parking space, whereas you compare to a 9 by 8 spaces, the compact spaces work well, and because there's so few of them, we really don't have the issue of too many large vehicles compared to the number of regular sized spaces, and we'll be adequate. We have seen those stackers operate in both ways, one with the attendant operated, the other with resident operated through an app or key fob or standards, and ultimately won't have any significant adverse impact on the neighborhood.
the city of Paterson does not count.
If it's the first one they see, sometimes they just go in it because it's there. So
That is to assign that compact space to a unit which has a compact car. I think we've all seen compact spaces in shopping centers. You grab the last space, or maybe it's the best space. And so anyone thinks that vehicles.
Okay. My actual concern now with this project, and I guess I'll touch on it a little bit, the density is about 3 times greater than possibly 400 residents, maybe more, depending even on the businesses, the retail. So you're bringing in, 400 residents, 300 cars. Now, like I said, I couldn't park on Pennsylvania. There was parking, and that's probably not the intention for this application. So, I don't see, how do you don't think that there's going to be an impact with congestion, traffic, and
to disperse that traffic generated by the site. And when we're talking about the 310 parking spaces and its equivalent in vehicles, the vehicular traffic in and out of the site is not every vehicle leaves at 7:30 in the morning, and it does disperse well. And it's the roadway network that this site is surrounded by, and the grid style system and the ability for the vehicles to ultimately get to the different arterials as well, and ultimately isn't going to have that profound impact that you're speculating.
Well, the only reason I'm saying that is if I can't park, anything to that, it sort of becomes, and I'm not, in 310 cars is not anything, but if you add anything to it, it sort of increases the negative aspect of there's no parking on Buffalo and Pennsylvania, and there's not going to be any parking on Columbia now anyway. You have to understand where I'm coming from. I'm here to protect the board and to protect the city. So it's a concern only because I think, those state in my closing statement, but that's all I have for Mr. Corr.
Permits, there's certainly rules and regulations that apply as far as the traffic control, whether it's police officer, staging of cones, barrels, signage, et cetera. We'll be sure to comply with all of that.
Especially when working with the city's professionals in
Exactly.
developing a construction plan, correct?
Correct.
Do you have an idea how long will it take to finish?
Again, one of the benefits is the ability to disperse that traffic on a Saturday afternoon. It's, it's very reasonable and manageable for the residents to be able to get in and out of the site.
Walkthrough or application or your view on this?
Okay, thank you.
Any other commissioner,
Mr. Thaxton, I have a question for the,
just to speak to the traffic? Come to the mic.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Anthony from New Jersey. And pertains to the traffic, anybody who lives over there knows, I'm gonna estimate anywhere from like 7:30 to, or 7, so let's say about 8:45. You say you can disperse on, what street you said, Buffalo, or, in other words, we have a school on Trenton Ave, School 25. People from everywhere are coming on there.
It's South Paterson. We understand the traffic conditions, we understand how it works, but we commercial use, industrial use, they're, just because of the way that the nature of residential use is where it's dispersed over a longer period of time, and we've studied a number of these types of sites, but yes, that's all in.
If there's no more objectors, we're going to take a 5-minute break.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you.
I actually have testified before this board before, so 7. I had to think about that for a second. So I've been on my own since then, and I've been accepted as a witness before planning and zoning boards throughout the state, and my license is in good standing. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Ms. Gregory, grant a use variance. The property needs to be particularly suited to the use that we are proposing, correct?
Yes.
And you've evaluated this property, the surrounding areas, the proposed use. Would you please provide the board with the details of why you believe that is the case?
Certainly. For starters, I have a photo exhibit that I'd like to hand out to the board. It's one sheet. It's an aerial photograph. So we'll.
And Mr. Chairman.
Ms. Gregory,
Yes.
before you start, 350 square feet is required and 11,767 square feet is proposed. The density is 50 an acre, which means 67 units. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, and I would just like to clarify that those are the bulk requirements for the R3 zone, as if we were building a low-rise
Objection is just to the size, not to the use. I agree that the use, the site is suitable for that use. So that's fine, that's your testimony, but I don't think it's necessary.
Cover all bases.
Okay,
That's all.
that's fine.
This photo exhibit, which is an aerial photograph that I've incorporated the zones on top of it. It really does go to the particular suitability of the site. And the reason that I say that, the corner of the MU zone, and we are located adjacent to the B2 and the IT zone, and that would be to the west and also to the south. And so I think that it's important to mention that in the B2 zone, mixed residential and commercial actually are permitted. And then in the IT zone, that is also permitted, mixed commercial that and FAR we've proposed, is the fact that we are located on the very corner of the zone across from other zones that actually do permit that particular type of use and at a higher density parking. And in this case, it is because we're wrapping it inside the building. So our FAR is increasing. There would be no way that we could ever be able to have parking inside a building with only 20% lot coverage in the R property. So when I, sorry to jump around a little bit, but I just feel like a lot of the variances are very intermingled. And so that's why I start to bring in the bulk, as was testified to by your expert. And I know that it was talked about a little bit before. I do understand that maybe the density seems high, but what we're talking about here is we're talking about a building that needs to be demolished. And it also goes on to state that the office portion of the building is in very poor condition. This area would require renovations to bring it to a usable condition, including but not limited to new floors, walls, ceilings, as well as a new roof. And it actually doesn't even talk about the fact that you would have to update all the HVAC to try to do an adaptive reuse of this building. Our client considered it, but it's just not feasible from an economic standpoint. And because we have to demolish the building and we're building a new one, that really goes to, as was testified to by our architect, why we're asking for the number of units that we are. Now, in terms of what are the impacts, the traffic engineer has talked about the fact that we can disperse that traffic. And I understand that, lots of people have. I was really happy when I got to drop my car off and I got to take public transit and I got to walk places. What this building is going to do, it's going to actually try to spur that. In terms of economic development, you're going to have new jobs that you're going to have in the in the commercial spaces. You're going to provide 1960s in the city, but her premise was always that, the more people that had eyes on the street, the safer it was. And I know that some of the residents talked about the safety in the neighborhood, and I think actually one of the board members did too. So what we're providing is sort of a critical mass at this location to eliminate any potential, safety concerns that are in the neighborhood, because there are a number of commercial uses that are neighborhood that are closed at night. Now, but I do think that it's going to be a positive. I mean, one of the residents talked about how this building has been an eyesore. It's been mostly vacant for decades. So this is really an opportunity for quite an urban renewal at this location. And we are going to, I think, improve, the impacts to the neighborhood in terms of what special reasons are. I would say that we do promote the public health, safety, morals, and general welfare for those reasons that I've stated, and that's Purpose A. I also believe that we promote Purpose I, which talks about a desirable visual environment. And going to the amenities, according to the R3 zone, we're short on the usable open space. To offset that, usable recreational space, which does include some of the interior spaces that will be available as amenities in the building. I think I'm really jumping around. As was stated by your planner, 25 feet is required in the R3 zone, 0 feet is existing, and that's what we're proposing now. And that's basically to keep that streetscape going around the building, because usually when you have a building like this, especially if you have commercial spaces, you don't really want them set back from the road. You want retail. You want the retail up against the sidewalk, sort of to create that streetscape and that busyness. And because when it's set back, it doesn't really have the same impact. And obviously retail stores, they really want to be, and it really is the same as it is today. So we're not really changing that existing condition. So I think I went over all the variances with you, with the exception of we have to be inside of a wall, and then the de minimis exception for the compact parking spaces. There was testimony by our traffic engineer about those spaces. There are smaller cars, we can assign those. And he also said that actually for a project of this size, for our application. In terms of the negative criteria, I don't think there's any substantial detriment to the public good. I think I talked about the fact that we're actually going to be, I think, improving everything around the neighborhood. We're making productive use of a site that's been vacant for many, many years. We're going to have more benefits. I don't see any substantial detriments to the public good. And then I don't believe there's any substantial impairment to the intent and purpose of your zone plan and zoning ordinance. Now, under the case of Medici, we have to reconcile the omission of this use from the zone. And what's interesting, I'd like to go through the actual permitted uses with you, as long as I can. Here's my list. Thank you. So the permitted uses in the MU zone are government offices, which obviously hasn't been utilized in years. The working from home and the more flexible situations that we've come into today. Neighborhood retail business. This site is way too large for neighborhood retail, just neighborhood retail business. And then the other two would be warehousing and storage and light industrial uses. So there are 1 and 2 family homes. I didn't do the zoning, but they are actually not permitted, but they are there. But I would venture to say that if we proposed warehousing and storage or light industrial uses, that would be more detrimental to the neighbors that do exist in this neighborhood, just due to the truck traffic alone for those types of uses. So, I think the site is particularly suited, but if you wanted to say that we had an undue hardship because we couldn't reasonably proposing is actually more of a highest and best use than any of the permitted uses in the MU zone. So with that said, I can also go through, I looked at your master plan, and there's a number of, I think, goals and objectives that I think we promote. And under urban design goals, number 2 is to improve active streetscape developments, and if you look at the plan, we are providing the street trees, and we're going to provide lighting on the building as well. Under the economic development goals, the purpose of the economic development element of the master plan is to identify opportunities within the city for economic development and develop strategies to encourage economic growth. And then under housing, the section housing in your master plan. First goal is to provide for a variety of housing types that will attract and retain a mix of residents from various socioeconomic backgrounds. It also talks about meeting the demand for multifamily housing, And then number 5 is, the goal is to address issues related to a high cost of living from an inflated.
Is neighboring the B2 zone and close to the B3 and I2, I1. Now, the B3 and the I1, I2 doesn't allow residential. The B2 does, and that's in the B2. So that's the first thing. The property along Columbia is 295, the building is 285 variance. Now, you also mentioned the amenities, which is not open space, but can be counted for open space. The amenities comes out to 2,848 square feet, which still would leave the open space short by 23,000. Ms. Gregory testified to the fact that it's high is because the parking is inside the building. Well, in order to meet the floor area ratio, they would be short 300 parking spaces, which would be worse than the D variance of the floor area ratio, in my opinion, especially in this neighborhood. So it's not just as candy-coated as Ms. Gregory presents, although, that being said, I do like the application, but where I don't like is the master plan also wants you to conform to the neighborhood, and the neighborhood is all two-story buildings. It's not a two-story building. So while the master plan says to provide housing to the master plan, again, that being said, I think the application is a nice application. Again, I just think it's too much. And that's all I have for Ms. Gregory.
You're correct in that if the new conforming building, but the existing site layout does have a building that's not conforming, it's 40 feet tall in some places, so.
That's true, but
No, it's 3 stories and 40 feet.
yeah.
So it is 40 feet, and 40 feet is permitted in the zone.
Right, but also, Ms. Gregory, it was built 100 years ago. I don't even know if there was an MU zone 100 years ago, you know? It's hard to say the existing, because you know why? The existing building's gonna be gone.
Hopefully if the application.
Yeah, right.
If the application is not approved, you know, the existing building is gonna remain.
Yeah, right, but that's the point I was making.
Thank you.
And let me see here. The house right here, which is 303, ma'am, is that your house? Are you gonna have any windows in that area? In that building? I think this is more for the architect, but
Yeah, that's an architecture question.
the whole side is not gonna have any type of windows? No. Okay, thank you.
Any other commissioners? Okay, I accept this.
Hamden, who is a representative of the applicant, 319 Penn Development. I believe Mr. Hamden has appeared before your board before on previous applications that he's made. He is a resident of Paterson and grew up in Paterson, I should say, and he's going to give you the benefit of his experience.
And we want to be good neighbors. So, ma'am, to your point about the fence, if there is something that you need, we'll be more than willing to help out and accommodate. I could talk more about this project. I could talk about more about my background. If you have any questions, I'll gladly answer them.
An attendant in the parking garage to help the residents with with those lifts.
That is correct. We will have on-site management. There will be a live-in super. We will have staff on-site 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Someone will be there to help activate these lifts when needed.
I think that's the only question.
Is it your intention, I guess there was some talk about assigned parking, you would...
Yeah, absolutely. Each apartment will have its own assigned parking.
Okay. The retail spaces, you also would agree to, if it goes to a seated restaurant, bar, coffee shop, you would, I go that route, you know, so And just by experience, and just as the owner alluded to, most of those retail businesses that support that kind of building, all of them would create the issue. But, as long as it's in the resolution, I'm fine with that, if the application should be approved.
Yeah,
That's all I have for the.
Number 9, we have the charter school right on, I believe it's on Gould and West Railway, and as well as Goshen. We have the new Hani Awadullah School. So I know that it's probably not, there's probably not lots of room for accommodation, but I know that it's better today than it has been in the past with the newer schools that have opened up.
Yes, I wanted to go back to the lifts.
Yes.
You said you're going to have a management, you're going to have obviously people there.
That there is need to operate them, based on my discussion with our traffic engineer, he thinks that, the parking lot will not reach capacity often, but if it does, there will be an attendant. We anticipate some sort of gate system for the parking. I guess maybe if there is some sort of capacity level trigger that would trigger into our management office, then someone would be able to monitor those spots, and if someone needs the space to use them, we would have an attendant go down there and help them out.
So let's say under me.
They have to be the same unit.
So they have to be the same.
They have to be the same, it doesn't work.
So 2 parkings per.
14 lifts, I believe. So it would be 14 apartments, that would be 2-bedroom units.
So they're going to have to. double.
Even the 1-bedrooms are 1.8, and the 3 bedrooms are 2.1. So quite frankly, the only ones that need the single slots are the studios, and there's only 3 studios. So just about everybody needs 2 spaces according to RSIS.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Mr. Du, renting wise, let's say I'd like to rent one of the apartment. What is the requirement?
So I have 21 years of experience in the real estate market, particularly in Paterson. I manage several hundred background check. There are some legal changes that recently happened that are incorporated in our application. However, we do interview every single tenant, and I personally sit down with, I would say, 99% of all applicants.
Do you own more properties in Paterson?
I do. I own several in Paterson. I'm a practicing attorney in the city of Paterson. I'm passionate about Paterson. And when this project came to me, I had an opportunity. I had just met my partner, who's my partner now. He's a developer in New York City. He develops in Soho, just recently completed a very large residential building. And he was introducing me to a building in Fairview. And he was trying to get me there to partner up with him. And some police that we connect our security system directly to them. And they also monitor as well. So we're looking into that program.
Thank you, Mr. Du.
Of course.
Mr. Chairman, that's all I have.
Well, taxes, real estate taxes going up and up every time. And I'm going to mention 2 words that is going to resonate to you. Tax abatement. Is that something you may be contemplating to do with this place in the future or not?
We haven't made a decision either way, but yes, we will contemplate it. So what's unique about this building is it was a county-owned building. It has never been on the tax map as long as the county owned it. They paid no taxes. We believe that so it is a substantial cost to put up this project, and a tax abatement may be helpful, but it's not a decision we made yet.
No, I'm just asking because,
I appreciate it, of course.
it's been a problem with most developers get off a few years for free, and then the city still keeps having expenses. And
Hi, will there be any affordable housing for those units, for any particular, people that may want to live there but maybe can't afford the top of the rent?
So they are market rate units. Application and meeting with every applicant. I always work with our own community, and where there is room to make it affordable, we certainly always do, and we will for this project as well.
Or members of the general public that would also like to speak.
Yeah, they can, yeah.
Yes, please.
Each person will have 3 minutes to speak, please.
I am AHMAD. The last name is ABURAS. I'm a longtime resident and young professional living on Illinois Avenue. As of July of this year, I'm a proud homeowner on Illinois.
Vince Iannacone again for the record. I mean, it's a beautiful building that they want to build, but I believe it should not be that many apartments. It's just the markets are congested as it is. We have retail, I don't know what type of retail stores are gonna go in there. So just to reiterate, I'll make it short, they wanna build 171 apartments. I think it should be half of that. Again, and then I'll finish. We're happy to see if this goes through with the downplay of it, of the old administration being knocked down. I mean, it's just been abandoned way too long, but I just feel that what they're asking to build here is just way too much for this area. Thank you, Vince Iannacone.
Next.
I live at 180 Michigan Ave in Paterson, New Jersey. I'm going to try to do this in order and as quick as possible. When it comes to the schools, everybody has a family. It's only rare that somebody even rents a one-bedroom apartment and they don't have at least one child. The next thing that I wanted to mention was, years ago, I used to get letters of people wanting to, homeowners and families that live in the area that these businesses are going up. They have opened several mechanics, auto repair, and dealerships. And all these cars are affecting every place. And the owner said, we're only going to be fixing 5 cars per day, or 10 cars per month. I said, how are you going to pay your mortgage if you're only doing 10 cars? Ridiculous. Don't know when they took their survey, when they went out to study it, but the majority of the time, from 7 all the way to 7 p.m., traffic is horrendous. It's hard to get to the schools, to the stores, to the supermarket, many businesses. And like I said, live and let live, but what is it doing to our community? This is something that we have to take a look at. Paterson has always been put down. Mention, where do you live? Paterson. Oh my God, you live in Paterson? But I bet you if you were to take a survey, the majority owners, people that own businesses in Paterson, do not live in Paterson. Don't quote me on that, but very nice building. But it's not a nice application for the area that this building wants to go up on. And I think it should be considered and really, really taken a good look at before it gets approved. And if I was to take a survey here right now and ask everybody, where do you live? I wonder how many people would say Paterson. The majority go home to a quiet neighborhood, and they don't have to worry about their kids. They don't have to worry about parking. They go to home to relax. I'm not saying that this building is a total little small stores. Take a look. Go down Park Ave. Go down Railroad. Go down Crooks Ave. You look, and it's all just businesses. I thank you for your time.
Anyone else?
Hi, Linda Hodgson again. Just a couple of things that I'd like to say. This building is going to kill my grass, my flowers, and my plants in my backyard because I will no longer be able to have sun. Right now, I have nice grass. I will not have any grass any longer. The building will kill all my vegetation in the back, not only mine, but all the neighbors, because of the way the sun comes around. One of my concerns is the used car dealership across the street. A lot of people come and look at cars, so they park on Pennsylvania Ave. Garage? No, they're going to be parking on the street. We have no more parking. There's a lot of traffic in our little area. There's something I don't think you know. In the summer months, at the farmer's market, the farmers come in on Buffalo Ave. Again, the traffic going through on Buffalo Ave at that time is horrendous. When I have to go to Crooks Ave from my house, sometimes it could take me 10 minutes just to go 3 blocks because of the traffic that's on East Railway Ave. I don't think a lot of people realize what this area really is. I'm a senior, and this is making me a little afraid to live in Paterson. Thank you.
Elgani. I live on 294 Illinois Ave in Paterson, which is a newly built single-family home that I built about 6 months ago. I actually stood in this room about 2 years ago for that approval. And every so often, as I'm sitting outside in my front yard, I have people pass by, people from my community, from my neighborhood, who wave or take pictures of my house and have an appreciation for what I put up there. And I understand that a single-family home is not like a multi or mixed-use building, but I think the same applies. I think a lot of people in our community have an appreciation for development for the city and for our neighborhood. Besides the aesthetics, I think it's a great economical ad for the city and for the community. And I think that this is a great ad for all of us here in Paterson.
At this time, could I have your summation, please?
All right. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. It's been a long night, a lot of witnesses, a lot of people speaking, so I'm going to try to be very brief. The application before you tonight, we think is extremely positive, will have an extremely positive impact on the neighborhood. You've seen architectural drawings that propose a very nice, new, modern building that's going to help revitalize the neighborhood. You've heard from the engineer who stated that the infrastructure that's going to be installed to support this building is not only going to benefit this building, but is going to benefit the entire neighborhood. It's going to help reduce flooding in the entire neighborhood through the stormwater management systems. It's going to comply with all from a professional traffic engineer who lives, breathes, and traffic all day long and has tons of experience in assessing the impact of low-rise residential buildings throughout the state of New Jersey. And in his opinion, the location of this building is very well suited for dispersing traffic in various different directions throughout the neighborhood, so that it's not going to cause additional significant impact. I provided you with the reasons why this property is particularly suited for a multifamily residential use of this nature. The property, there's special reasons why this property should be developed into a 5-story multifamily residential building. Just as importantly, the building is not going to have a substantial detriment upon the neighborhood and the general public. In fact, quite to the opposite. We think that the building, with the lighting that's going to be installed and the massive people that it's going to bring to the neighborhood, is going to make the neighborhood a lot safer for everyone that visits that neighborhood, from the wider general public to the residents that live in that area. Finally, you heard from the representative of the applicant, who I think did his passion in this building, and he wants to reinvest substantial dollars back into the community and create a new modern building that is really going to help revitalize an area that residents have said is quite unsafe. And for all these reasons, we think that this building is going to be a tremendous benefit to Paterson and the neighborhood, and therefore...
That's been there, I don't know, maybe 50 years, right to the south. The traffic is going to impact that as well. Even if you put 50 cars out on the street at any one time, you could see where that's going, you know? And again, my concern only, and I like it, I was wishing that the applicant just downsized it somewhat. I have to say this, when it's almost 3.5 times what is permitted, I don't think that's in the best interest of the city of Paterson. Thank you. Oh, I'm sorry. If the board should approve the application, there was no recycling, there was no way for the retail businesses to get to the garbage area, there were some parking changes that had to be made. The engineer has to put the correct zoning chart on the map, change his undersized ADA parking, and all the other information that I put on their testimony, which I don't have all in front of me, along with the testimony from Mr. Hamlin that the assigned parking, the parking attendant, the retail is not going to be seats. So if you should make the motion to approve the application, I would suggest those.
Then can I get a motion?
Commissioner Furman.
Commissioner Furman.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I would like to make the first motion for this project. And I also would like to clarify something. I am a resident here in the city of Paterson for over 30 years. And I'm pretty sure all the commissioners sitting here are Paterson residents.
This is a motion to approve. Commissioner Furman makes the motion that the application of 319 Penn Development LLC concerning the premises at 305 319 Pennsylvania Avenue, Block 7102, Lot 8, be granted. Am I correct?
Yes.
Thank you. To demolish the parking and other associated accessory uses. This will have 310 on-site parking spaces on 2 levels, including one of the levels being below grade. 47 of the parking spaces will have capabilities to charge electric vehicles and any additional things that are available. Now, also, this is for use bulk site plan in an MU zone with the conditions of the approval, if you don't mind repeating them, or did you want me to include them?
Include them, just include them.
Create an additional congestion, providing that the parking is inside the building. In view of that, and also accepting the conditions that the planner has stated, I would second the motion.
Thank you, Commissioner Barat. Chairman Thaxton, may I call the roll, sir?
Yes.
Thank you. Commissioners Barat.
Yes.
Thank you. Commissioner Furman.
Yes.
Commissioner Rohim.
Before I go, I just want to let the applicant know, please work with the neighbor if you get approved. Whatever makes them happy, the students in that area.
Yes, absolutely, Commissioner.
Thank you.
My vote is yes.
Thank you, Commissioner Rohim, Vice Chair. Commissioner White?
My vote is no.
Commissioner Arenas?
I would like to also state, just be mindful again, with applicants with numerous children. We do want them to get the best education. I know what it is.
Vega?
Come back to me, please.
You are the last. You are the last.
I'm the last one. I'm going to say this. In order for us to have enough parking, we know that we have to go up. That's a must. We have no parking space here. But we do also want to grow our city. And people grow cities. So with that said, I'm going to vote yes.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Thank you. Chairman Thaxton?
My vote is, only objection I had was, I was concerned about the kids in the education process. But I believe it's a good project. I do have faith in you.
Thank you.
And
I really appreciate it.
some of the projects that you have done in the city has been well worth it. So just look out for your neighbors and
The
Thank
vote
you.
is 6 in the affirmative and 1 in the negative. Thank you very much.
Thank you
This
again.
application has been granted.
Thank you for your time tonight. All your comments were taken to heart by the applicant, and
Thank you. I still have business to conduct, so if you would like to, Mr. Hamden, can you please go in the hallway? We have more business to conduct. Thank you.
Yes, we do. Resolution.
Okay. Chairman Thaxton, we're going to continue with the minutes that are being adopted today. They will be October 28, 2021, and November 8, 2021. Would you like to call a first motion, sir?
I think so.
need a motion, people, on the minutes. I'll make the first motion, Maggie.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Commissioner Furman, second.
Thank you. Commissioners, Commissioner Barat,
Yes.
Commissioner Furman,
Yes.
Commissioner Rohim,
Yes.
Commissioner White, Commissioner Arenas,
Yes.
Commissioner Vega,
Yes.
and Chairman Thaxton.
Yes.
Thank you. The minutes have been approved.
Commissioners, we also have resolutions to adopt. First resolution for adoption is Happy Hands and Hearts LLC for property located at 503-505 12th Avenue in the R2 zone. Application was heard on October 14, 2021. It's an application to convert 2 existing residential use buildings into a child daycare center. At the conclusion of the application, there was a motion made.
There was a motion to deny, I think, Marco, wasn't it denied?
It was denied.
There was a motion for approval made by Commissioner Barral. Commissioners who voted against the application were Commissioner Minato, Commissioner Watkins, Commissioner Rohim, and Commissioner Arenas.
You went too fast for me.
I got you. It's all written, but Commissioner Rohim and Commissioner Arenas could vote on this resolution. That's all we need for this evening.
Cool.
Well, either, Commissioner Rohim, do you move this resolution?
Yes.
All right. And Commissioner Arenas, you second the resolution? Okay. And your vote, Commissioner Rohim, is to adopt,
Yes.
as is yours, Commissioner Arenas?
Yes.
All right, so moved. Second application, second dwelling with one-car garage. Application was heard both on July 22nd, 2021, and October 28th, 2021. At the conclusion of the application, there was a motion made by Commissioner Vega for the approval of this application, was seconded by Commissioner Baral. There were 7 in favor and 0 against. Commissioner, moved by Chairman Thaxton. Do we have a second?
Second. Oh, sorry.
That's okay. Who was the second? Was that Commissioner Baral? Was the first?
Second.
All right, Commissioner Baral.
There you go.
Madam Secretary, please hold the board.
You went too quickly.
Everybody can vote. I'll do.
Everyone? Okay,
Commissioner Baral, you vote?
Commissioner Barat,
Yes.
Commissioner Furman,
Okay, the last resolution for adoption is Velez Auto Repair LLC for property located at 546 East 19th Street. This application was to convert a vacant lot into an auto repair facility and the detached denial of this application, which was seconded by Commissioner Vega. There was a vote, 7 in favor of denial, 0 against denial. Commissioners who voted in favor of denial are Commissioner Barat, Commissioner Furman, Commissioner Monaro, Commissioner Arenas, Commissioner Vega, Commissioner Rohim, and Chairman Thaxton. All commissioners that are present this evening, except for Commissioner White, can vote on this resolution.
Make a motion to accept.
Commissioner Vega moved to adopt. Do we have a second?
Commissioner Furman, second.
Commissioner Furman, second.
thank you.
No further business.
Meeting adjourned.